I've seen a lot of talk advocating for people who are pregnant and need abortions due to like unviable pregnancies or dangerous pregnancies or like cases of rape or incest, but there really hasn't been much about the other reasons why someone would choose to get an abortion. And everyone should be able to have that choice. And I just wanted to share my reasons that I would get an abortion if I ever was to get pregnant. There have been some newer studies that show that pregnancy really can have long lasting impacts on the density of portions of your brain and can cause a lot of changes that would not have occurred without being pregnant. It can also cause other long-term health issues, such as postpartum depression. You can have a lot more urinary issues. It can cause heavier periods. It can cause looser hip joints. It can cause cardiovascular diseases, blood clots, strokes, and numerous other conditions. And then, getting into some of my more specific issues with pregnancy, is I have to take a lot of medications to manage my many genetic disabilities. And if I was pregnant, I would not be able to take those medications, which would mean that I would not be able to function, which would mean I would not be able to work and would not be able to pay my bills. I also have increased risks for other negative complications of pregnancy due to my genetic connective tissue disorder, which is hypermobile Ehlers-Danlos syndrome. It would cause an increased risk for ectopic pregnancy for me. And I live in Tennessee currently, which is one of the most restrictive abortion ban states in the US. And this would be devastating. I would have to spend a lot of money even just to treat an ectopic pregnancy, which could kill me. And then looking into other issues with hypermobile Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, it can cause increased postural orthostatic tachycardia syndrome symptoms, which I already have that condition, and it does cause me to faint quite a lot or get extremely dizzy and not be able to stand up. So any more increases in that would be devastating for me. Hypermobile Ehlers-Danlos syndrome already causes joint dislocations, which can get worse with pregnancy, and be worse for the long-term effects. It can also cause increased pelvic girdle pain, which is excruciating. My disorder also causes resistance to anesthesia, so maybe an epidural would not work effectively. It caused increased risks of hernia, worse GI symptoms, potential rupture of placenta earlier, and issues with any wound healing, since it's a collagen defect and it can cause difficulty healing. So if I had to have a C-section or any perineal tearing, that would not heal properly, very likely. And then pregnancy can also cause vaginal or pelvic organ prolapse, which would cause some very severe issues. Some people in my family have already had this related to pregnancy and hypermobile Ehlers-Danlos syndrome. So these are just some of the hypermobile specific medical complications that can happen. And then on top of that, the baby would be born with a very high likelihood of a lot of conditions, including autism, anxiety, depression, hypermobile Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, POTS, migraines, neuropathy, OCD. We also have a lot of people with degenerating discs, and I am also a carrier of cystic fibrosis, and potentially spina bifida, and I know my mother is carrier for several muscular dystrophy genes, and I have not had the testing done, but I could also be a carrier of that. And then on top of all of that, there's just the basic fact that I'm getting my PhD. So I'm quite broke. And I could not afford a baby or the time that they take. I worked about 60 hours a week, plus or minus like 5 or 10 hours, depending on the week. And like, even if I was to give up that baby for adoption, the foster care system is incredibly messed up. And there is no way to know that an adoptive family would treat that child right or would be able to take care of all of the medical issues that come with it and know how to support their child through that need. And then also just pregnancy, the medical bills are super expensive, and birthing is also very expensive. Some people in my family recently gave birth, and they were sent a bill of $17,000 for the one day in the hospital. And that doesn't include any of the pregnancy visits and the checkups and all of the testing that it comes with it. And since I do have risk for all of these genetic conditions, they would likely have to do more extensive genetic testing to make sure that the baby would be even like viable. So I just thought I would share all of this with people just so everyone is aware that like abortion is a very necessary thing for a lot of people, and not just in cases of like where you're going to die if you don't get one, or if the baby is not viable, if the fetus is not viable, I mean, or there were cases of rape or incest. So yeah, thanks.